Indigo Blue is the name of a very special company located in England, and it's called Indigo Blue, B-L-U, one word. And they make marvelous stamps, but they also make something called Megaflakes.
Now, Megaflakes is a really interesting product where they take metal sheets or metal leaf, excuse me, the really fine, thin metal leaf. They rip it all up into different colors and they crumple it all back together, and then you have these flakes of several different colors in one little container.
And we're going to show you how to use them. Come play with us. Well, we've turned over the bottles of the Megaflakes so you can see what they look like. And this is what we mean when we talk about the color combinations. So you can see that it's not just one color, it's yet a variety.
Right, and each one of these has a sort of a different color scheme. So you're getting silvers and golds, a little brass in there. This one, it's a little harder to see, but there we go. We get to a little more. Because you used it. Yeah, get a little bit more of a rose color in that one. This one is very, very much silver and just a little bit of gold. Then we have more of a green in this one and more of a blue and a red, and this is one of my favorites.
Yeah, kind of a rainbow.
Right.
Okay, and so we're going to use all of them.
Right.
And we're going to use them with, of course, projects. Now, so I'm going to scoot these up here.
Okay.
The first project we have is using Yorkshire. So we're going to start our trip to Yorkshire. And the stamps look like this in the packaging, but they're like this. They are rubber cling stamps, so they'll sit on an acrylic block nicely, and they're pretty substantially sized, and they're super fine detail, which you're going to see here in the project. And this is what it turns out. Now, as I said, this is using the Yorkshire Dale, I think. Okay, so they have the most interesting names. I'm sure it's places in London that we're not quite as familiar with. Maybe some of you are. So here is what the collection looks like. This is got a lot of different colors in it. What I think is interesting too is even with a very fine line stamp, you're getting that explosion of colors. Right. And I think I don't know that I would have expected that, or I think I would have been hesitant. And so that's just quite beautiful. Now, so I'd kind of like to show you what that process will look like. I'm going to need. You're going to need that? I'm going to need that. And I'm going to open it up and show you the inside. Now you get to see firsthand what it looks like in that. So all of those different colors, you need to have your fan off, your windows closed when you're playing with this, merely because they are so thin, and no they sneezing. Just sort of fly away. Right. Right, no sneezing. So I'll set that off to the side. I've got the stamp already mounted, and this is from Indigo Blue, the Flitter glue. It comes in this large bottle. I can't remember how much is 120 milliliter bottle, and this is the glue that's going to attach, or that you're going to use to stamp with. I'm going to use a cosmetic sponge. I'm going to open that. Okay. Use a cosmetic sponge to apply it. So I'm going to get a pretty good amount on there because I really want it to soak into that sponge. But then I'm going to stamp off of the paper before I put that on the stamp. Because you don't want any globs on it. Right. I don't want globs, but I do want a nice smooth surface. We don't want it too light. We want to be able to sort of see it when you put it on there because you want it to stamp nicely. I'm going to keep picking it up and make sure that I've got it all over my stamp. And then I don't want to wait too long before I go ahead and stamp it. You don't have to press really hard. You just have to sort of make sure all of the surface of that stamp gets on there. Very fine detail. You want it all over the edges. I don't want to leave it on there for very long either. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the flakes on. And I don't think it got clear over on the edge, but you'll at least be able to see. We'll see some of it. I maybe didn't press it hard enough in the center. I'm just going to sort of set them on there, move them around a little bit, and make sure that the entire stamped image is covered. Now the nice thing about this is that you can reuse the flakes. So it's like embossing powder. You don't have to be frugal as you're spreading it on, that you can just be generous and you're going to get the stuff back. Now I'm sort of lightly rubbing it around with my finger, making sure that it's getting on of the stamped areas, and so it doesn't look like much right now except for this
mess that I'm sort of creating. You're going to see
patience.
a little hole in the center because I didn't press the stamp in the center.
Okay.
When it's a large area, you want to make sure you press all over, and I went a little too quickly there. Okay, so moving it around, and as I'm pushing it down, I can feel it starting to stick more, and I can feel it starting to come off a little bit, and that's a good point to where I'm going to shake this off. I've got another piece of paper under here that I'm going to shake it off onto. So I'll move the sticky page that I used, and you can see it sort of fluttering all over. Shake it off. I can use my finger to get a little bit more of it off. You want most of those pieces off. You want most of the larger pieces off. That way I can get that back into the bottle when I have a little more time. I'll do that. I'm going to put the lid on that bottle so that nothing makes the rest of it fly away. And then you get what is called the scoochy sponge. It's kind of an abrasive sponge. It's not too hard, but it's squishy, and it's got lots of little pockets in there so that when you start just lightly rubbing it on that stamped image, it starts to remove it. You can see it develop immediately.
You're kind of scrubbing it, but lightly, right?
Right. I'm doing it very lightly, and let's see. Let me back up here. What I'm saying. When you do this, you can see that right away. You can see the definition of the edges of that stamp. But if you want it even more defined, then you have to continue just a little bit more. If you do it too long in one spot, it'll sort of take the shine away. So just do it just until you've got the image that you want. It's really defining the edges there. You know what's interesting, Gail, is I didn't think you got enough of the flitter glue over on this side, but you did. Oh, okay. So that's... Well, it looked to me like I didn't see it in the center, but I wasn't sure about anywhere else. I mean, you might have to do this a couple of times to get one that you like, but look at that. That's just beautiful and really pretty easy to do. Right. You may want to have like a plastic tub to just capture all of these, because even these little guys are reusable. They can be used again. Yeah, so now we'll scoot those off. We'll be doing that several times. So this again is the Yorkshire. It's with the large snowflake. Yorkshire Dales. Oh, Yorkshire Dales. Yeah. Okay. And just a beautiful, beautiful look. So, and we've added the hammered silver and hammered gold paper and a little bit of dazzles, as you can see. And this card doesn't have an inside, just has the outside. So let's move on. So now we're going to go to Manchester. Yes, we are. So Manchester looks like this. It has more of the three elements, kind of gold, silver, and copper. And that's going to be the combination that was used on this beauty. Right, and I love that it was, right, it was used on the acetate here on the sides, but also on the inside of the card on shine design paper. Now this is the heat resistant acetate, and you'll hear us talking about that because we're pretty excited by it. But you can see that the snowflake border, and this is what that border looks like. It's snowflake lace, and that was stamped and done perfectly on each side. Right. And then the reindeer, as you said, were done on the black shine design. The shine design is sold separately. It's an 8.5 by 11 sheet. And so you can see that gold, silver, and copper in all of this. And that is a Merry Christmas, Dear, is the name of that stamp set. So it's a beautiful stamp, and it's just really, it's just gorgeous, all the detail that comes off with that. But I kind of want to show you using it on the acetate, and another way to attach it. There are two ways to attach the metal leaf and the Megaflakes. One is with the flitter glue, and from the same place you get the Stamp and Stick glue pad, and this comes with actually, this is a different company. This is a different company. It isn't Indigo Blue, huh? It's Stuart Superior. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, this is another way that we use it. So this is the way that Susan used it on this one, was with the Stamp and Stick glue pad. So I've got the glue pad, and you've got the glue right here. And you go ahead and load up your glue pad, which I did a little bit, but it's always good to just add a little extra right before you use it. And she did this right off the edge of the acetate. She stamped off the edge of it. There is a difference in using the Stamp and Stick glue pad, and that after you, let's see, I'm only going to do one side, so I'm just going to do 1/2 of it. And in that, after you stamp it, then you heat it until it's a little bit of a matte color, until it's no longer shiny, and then you put the Megaflakes on there. So I've got that on there, and I've got, try to get some of those Megaflakes that are floating around off of there. And I'm going to stamp right off of the edge, like so. Try to get it in the middle too, so I don't miss anything. And then I'm going to heat it. So I've got my heat gun. I think,
Here, let me give you a white paper without type on it.
All right. Well, that's my scrap paper. So I just heat it. Oh gosh, you can't see it at all.
No. Don't you love that? We're showing you white and clear.
Trust me, it's working. So it's the manufacturer. Yeah, there you can see it a little better. The manufacturer with this one says you can't overheat the glue on this, that it will stay tacky, that it works great. So just
actually, I think both of those glues will stay tacky for quite a while.
Right.
So that's kind of nice to know. Now,
right,
should I slip this back?
Which brings around the point that once you do stamp with these, you want to get those stamps cleaned immediately.
Okay, so Manchester
tart. Another
I don't know about the tart
wonderful
part.
It's a nice dessert, probably a lemon tart or something like that. And then you want to just start. Now you're going to find every once in a while a really large flake, and you can use that kind of right across, and add some of the smaller flakes too. Just sort of tamp them down until they're hitting all of those areas. I will mention I'm using whatever comes into my hot little hand on here. And I think Susan says with this card she kind of plucked out the silver ones and got as much silver on those snowflakes as
it'd be nice
possible.
to see a difference. Yeah.
So there it is on there. I'm just going to sort of move it around and get them stuck on. Are there?
A little bit.
Okay, tear off some here.
A little bit, yeah.
Stick it down there.
See, I can see it from the glare.
Oh, right. I can't. I'm just sort of going by feel, really. I'm going by what I can feel.
So the same process.
Same
You're
process.
You're going to kind of pull off the larger pieces.
Right. And then I'm going to go back with the scoochy sponge.
Oh, you're going to use that again. Okay.
Yes. That is kind of the best way to remove it afterwards. Oh, it really likes the acetate.
It does, right, because it's static.
And it's floating around. Okay,
Susan didn't tell you about that, huh?
Oh, I probably should have guessed. All right, I'm getting another piece of paper
I'll scoot that away. And this is why you don't want fans blowing, because it's so lightweight that it will travel.
So there we go.
Okay, so you'd see how much more is coming off.
And you can see them. There you go.
Wow.
Isn't that a beautiful
It's
look?
kind of a magic as that appears under that mass of flakes.
Right. Also, those large flakes, and what sticks is just onto the glue, so you've got that nice little bit of glimmer. There we go.
Very pretty.
Beautiful. You can work at it a little more.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Look.
I like the gold and the silver. Okay, so we'll go back to the project. And as you demonstrated, the snowflake border on each side, I think that's really brilliant. It looks to me like some jewel dazzles, gold jewel dazzles were added, because you'd certainly need a little bit more bling. And then lifting this up, you see those beautiful deer in the center and just a little piece of ribbon. And that has you already just beautifully done. Also has Merry Christmas down here. And I think that's nice to know, is as fine as the snowflake was, you can also do words, and very readable and quite beautiful. Isn't that a striking card?
It is. It's
and
beautiful.
Really, it didn't take very long.
No, it didn't. I mean, it's pretty simple to get that on there. It's, you know, the part that it will take a little bit longer is you do have to clean that stamp. Make sure that you clean it very well. And I kind of like to use the Stays-On cleaner. We have a Stays-On stamp cleaner, and that works really good for getting that really tacky glue off of the stamp.
So just beautifully done. Now, okay, so that's kind of stamping. Then you can also do it on acetate and on specialty papers. Look at this beauty. This, I think, is just striking.
It is beautiful, and it's a nice because it's a combination of a couple of different things. You've got that bit stamped in the background.
It looks like this. It's called Frosted Baubles, and a really nice corner treatment that you did this card, didn't you?
I did.
That's beautifully done.
Thank you. And then it's surrounded with the silver linen paper, but you've got these huge accents here, which are beautiful.
Right, so it's the Merry Christmas cutting die, and you notice that it's foam filled, so that just really helps to release the cutting die easily.
Oh, they're wonderful for making that great big Merry Christmas on the front of your card, but what's great is that that was using the Megaflakes, but we didn't stamp with them, we did something a little different.
Right, you used an embossing folder first.
Embossing folder, yeah.
The Snowflakes embossing folder, so you can see the texture that's going on. I have to tell you, Gail, I would never have thought of the combination of those three things. I think that's just brilliant.
Well, I can't remember how I just it popped into my head and I just ran over and tried it and go, oh, that's really neat. So I knew I had to do it.
So to start, what are you going to do?
Cardstock.
Cardstock,
so
okay.
You already know how to stamp that background, so we're just going to talk about the Merry Christmas right now. So I've got cardstock, I've got the flitter glue, I'm sort of looking for it.
By the way, this is a combination of Manchester,
which I'm going to use Manchester,
and the Yorkshire.
Right, so the Yorkshire Dales, that one that's got kind of a blue-green to it, that was used for the stamping portion.
Oh, okay, so let me just bring that in. So you can see that the stamp has more of the of those colors in it, more of the copper, more of the green.
And then the Merry Christmas has the whatever you call
Yorkshire,
that.
Manchester
tart.
Okay.
Which has got more silvers and golds to it. You'll see that in just a moment.
Okay.
So I started with a cardstock, one that will be big enough to fit that Merry Christmas on there because you're going to put the cutting dies on this after you've created this piece. And I've got the flitter glue. I've got my little sponge for applying the flitter glue. And then I've got flitters just floating all around me.
Now you're doing this before you've die cut it?
That's right.
Really? Oh, that's right. Okay,
it's much easier to apply on a flat surface. So I'm really going to load that up.
I would have thought you would have done it after you die cut it. Good to know.
Nope. So I'm going to put this little member off, and then I'm going to put it on here. I want a nice layer on there for those flakes to stick to. And so I'm going to try to get it, I should really just do it in the middle, like in one portion, because we're not going to do the entire piece here. You get it in the center, and then you start applying.
Do you want to move this?
Yeah, let's move it onto here. One thing to remember is that when you're working with this, you get the flitter glue on your fingers, it gets on your fingers, so it's going to be on there for a while. I probably would stop and wash my fingers off because just doing this, because I can feel that I got glue on there, I'm going to get it all over me now. But anyway, I like to just sort of lay down little pieces and
You'll have pretty fingers,
you
know?
Gilded fingers.
Gilded fingers.
And I'm just going to sort of tamp it down as I go. And
so
make
you
sure
want
that
to
I'm
cover
covering
it.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. I'm just making sure that I get kind of the larger pieces on there. It's just a lot easier to get them to adhere to the paper if you have some of the larger pieces on there. And wherever you can feel the glue, you just keep moving it around. I feel like that's going to be good for now because I just want to show you. The next thing I do is just start moving around with my finger. Make sure you can see right away if you've missed any spots. And I did do this on a lighter colored cardstock so that if I do miss anything, you're not going to see it as much. If I did this on black, you'd really see it come through. So I did it on white cardstock.
And then again, the directions for this are in the gallery, right?
Right.
Okay.
So just move it around and really, you can it's sort of bumpy where some of the thick layers are, but you can really see. And then I'm going to move it off a little bit. And then I'm going to get my scoochy sponge.
Oh, you are? Okay.
And really start to remove any extra, and just lightly. I don't want to overdo it because
you want a smooth surface, don't you?
You want a smooth enough. It's never going to be perfectly smooth.
Okay.
But if you do it too much, if you do it too hard, like maybe I'll do that. In one spot, I'm going to just keep rubbing and rubbing really hard, really hard. You do it for a while, and there, it lost the shine right there. You can see that. So you don't want to do it super hard. You want to have that light touch. You want to keep going until you feel like you're down to one layer of it. And there's that beautiful shiny
pretty.
look. So now you've got something that you can work with. So I've got one over here that I did on part of it, and then I ran it through the embossing folder, through the snowflake. So I just set that in there. You're going to get a little bit of flakes on the embossing folder, so you want to wash that off afterward. I ran it through the embossing folder, and when you're done with that, then you put the cutting dies right on there and run it through the machine with the cutting dies in
And
place.
then you get this.
Yes.
And notice how, just like you said, you did not do that on a dark cardstock because you really didn't want it to show.
I didn't want any little missing parts to show.
But how perfect it is on these darker colors because it really just pops. Both the stamping as well as doing it on the embossed cutting die piece.
Right.
I think that's just gorgeous.
It is great. I did this with one of the other colors. I think it was the Morris Dance that really has a lot of color in it. I did it on, and you did it on a label. I did it with some little dragonflies. It's just, it's a beautiful look.
Lots of good things. Now on the inside, you've just done a couple of little pieces.
Right, from the pieces that are left over after you cut out, if you have any leftover snowflakes sitting around, you just cut them out, and that's what those are.
Beautiful idea. And this is using, as we said, gold, copper, and silver. So you use the it looks like the gold,
the gold
solid,
specialty paper, the black suede, and the silver linen paper. This was all just specialty paper.
Just a tad
and a
of
few
those.
little baby bling to add a little bit of sparkle.
A little bit of sheer ribbon, and you have got a gorgeous project. And this would be a nice one that you could do kind of assembly line, because you could do a lot of stamping, get those pieces done, then come back and do the others. So good idea.
Good idea.
Now this is Merry Christmas, but don't forget how beautiful it would be for Happy Birthday, for any of the others. Now we have another, and this one is Winter Dawn. And Winter Dawn is, as you said earlier, mostly silver, but it does have hints of gold and green in it. And here is how it's been applied on with a stamp.
So that's just beautiful. It's been done right on this teal cardstock, and then it's got the gold ripple border and mocha suede.
And as you can see, and this is a stamp, and it's umbellate?
Umbellate.
Umbellate, thank you very much.
Yeah, it's a form of umbrella, like a... Anyway, it looks to me like a Queen Anne's lace.
It does to me too. Yeah. So just a really pretty look of, and again, this is not as dark obviously as a black, but a nice medium tone really sets it off.
Yeah, I think that's a very nice look. It's just beautiful. I love that if you look around, you just see these little pops of gold and green up at the top.
Yes.
So it's just like a little surprise.
It's very nice, and of course foiling is just so distinctive. Now we also did a little bit of using the indigo blue stamps, but this time on a journal, and this is from We Are Memory Keepers, and it goes with the cinch machine. But what we're pointing out here is this variegated, and this is Morris Dance. And so you can see the bird and all of those flowers.
And you can see all of those different colors, the blues and the greens and the golds. It's just beautiful.
You said this was one of your favorites?
It is, yeah. Morris Dance is one of my favorites. So that part was stamped using the flitter glue, and then you used a scoochy sponge afterward to remove all the excess. And then some of the viney swirls were cut, and lots of distress paint was added on top. So those were painted, they were glued in place, and then more distress paint was just placed around the edge of the piece.
I like how you even did the buttons with the flitter, with the Megaflakes.
It's interesting in that it looks like, if you look at some of the other things that I'm seeing done with it, you can put this on frames and lots of other things. If you can get the glue onto it, so if you have a button like this, you just use that sponge. Should I do it or should I? Okay, you just use that sponge and some of that glue. It's getting pretty tacky, so I'm going to have to add a little more. If you let it sit, it's going to get pretty tacky. So a little bit more glue. I'll just put it on the side here, and you apply it to that button. Just a little bit.
Or a piece of wood, or anything.
Okay, how about a one of those chipboard piece?
Yeah, chipboard piece,
pieces.
wood piece.
You can add it to lots of, yeah. Okay, you can put that on chipboard, no problem. So
people out there are thinking, oh, and then what about this? And
right,
what about that?
That's right. So apply it to your piece, and then you're just going to grab your with my sticky. This is really, I'm really going to be gold after this one. I can feel it. Anyway, you just put your little flakes on there. Yeah, don't put this on your skin for Halloween. After that,
please don't.
We're past Halloween now. Okay, so you just put that on there and move it around, and then you really just press it into place. And if the glue wasn't on my fingers, it would be sticking more to the button than it would be to me. And then you just use the scoochy sponge to flatten it out and detail it. And it is sticking a lot to me, but you can see that it does work. It sticks onto the button.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
That's
You're going to need to get cleaned up, aren't you? But so here is that one stamp, and then this is out of the Unforgettable stamp set. So just letting you see what that variety of colors, as we have a whole range from some that are just have touches of color to ones like the Morris Dance that are richly colored.
Right.
So lots of variety. I love the viney swirl in there.
I know,
just
that's
so
just
gorgeous.
beautiful. Going off the edge, you just cut it even with the edge.
And
the cinch makes it fantastic. There's a lot of people here in the company that like to make these just for themselves, for planners and whatnot. They're a lot of fun.
And by the way, this is a journal kit that you can get that we're carrying, as well as the cinch machine. Okay, speaking of gorgeous, look at this. This is so beautiful and so cleverly done.
And it's neat that the central image was done in black, so you've just got that surround of the Megaflakes around it, as well as on my fingers.
And this is, the stamp is called Rebecca Snow Queen. Now, what I think is absolutely brilliant is this area on the black is her hair.
Right.
So it's not another stamp that you have to buy, it's the same stamp.
So on the stamp, here's the stamp,
There she
and
is.
it was only this part that was glued, the glue was applied, and then the Megaflakes was just done all around the outside of that black cardstock.
And this is also the Morris Dance that we showed on the journal. And so having that combination of using bits and pieces and letting it go around. And then these are the 3D snowflake dazzles.
It's just beautiful. It just goes gorgeous with it, and it helps to decorate, the jewel dazzles are in there around her hair, and it's just beautiful.
It is. Now there's a little bit of a script. That is another stamp that is somewhere on my table.
That's a background stamp. It's a rather large one. There we go. And she used that just around the edges, but you can see that in a light blue there, and then it was inked around. It's just beautiful.
So you can think about this being all mega flaked, and
which I'm trying to remember what was on the inside.
There it is. Well, you don't have to imagine it, folks.
So she did it here. She stamped it twice, and then did the Megaflakes on there.
Oh wow!
Gorgeous look.
Isn't that beautiful?
So that is a great background. It doesn't have to be center stage. It sort of takes on that quality anyway, just being there. But
especially with all the Megaflakes on it, it's just gorgeous. And we have one more, and this is also using the cinch, and this is using
the calendar kit, I believe.
We're going back to Lancaster.
Lancashire?
Yes, we are.
Lancashire, okay.
So this is, so you can think of this in a couple of ways. This is the calendar kit that is available. It also goes with the cinch, so it's a separate kit. And it's got the pages for, we didn't decorate them, but they are part of the kit as well as the front and back.
So you just have to decorate the front and back, and this has been done beautifully with that one of those indigo blue heart stamps.
Right. And with the Megaflakes, you can see it on the dark brown as well as on the blue.
Right.
You can also think of this, as we back up a little bit, just as a 12 by 12 scrapbook page. And this is on the darkroom papers. And so that can be memories.
Right. So these are with the darkroom die cuts here, which, I would love to go back in there and put some of the flitter glue and the Megaflakes on the edges of those.
So a little bit
gild things.
Thinking of it like you would maybe an embossing powder and doing edging. So very gorgeous. So whether you are going to go to Lancashire or you're going to go to Manchester
or Yorkshire.
We've got Winter Dawn Morris Dance. Lancashire,
Rose, Manchester
and we've
Tart,
lost
and
something.
did we got it?
Okay.
Yorkshire Dales. We talked about it enough. And so all of
Yes.
those beautiful.
Because they're really
what
pretty.
matters is how beautiful they are and what wonderful ways you can use them.
Yes.